All right, what is up, YouTube? I'm here. We have, well, I'm always sending a lot of interesting decks to kind of get the chance to wet my feet a little bit, and this is one of the ones that caught my attention that was sent to me. So this is Zefra splicing in the new Endymion cards. Now, for those of you that live under a rock, much like myself, the new Spellcaster Command Structure deck is going to be coming out later, I believe, this month, actually. So people are going to be getting the chance to wet their feet with a new concept. Now, for those of you that also live under a rock, Zefra is one of the best decks in the OCG right now because, well, contrary to popular belief, they actually have Yang Zing engine and things like that. Now, before we start, we do not have Lambada yet. Lambada is literally just a generic card that you can splice into your deck. This can be land Phonicus for all intents and purposes, but this definitely does make Omega a much better card, and that's definitely one thing I want to say. Lambada's sole existence in life is to allow you to be able to resolve Omega from your hand with this. So, before we even get into that, though, if we don't get Lambada in this next set, then simply replace it with land Phonicus for all intents and purposes. So, that's a pretty important starter. Now, your whole life plan is to do pendulum things. Everything that you want to do is literally because of Zefra. So during your main phase, you get to add a Zefra pendulum monster from your deck to your extra deck face up. And then, you get to change his pendulum scale and modify it. Now, how we had the Yang Zing engine, things might be a little bit more, I want to say, broken with this. But this card is actually kind of balanced in today's game, honestly, for what it does. And I mean, getting the extra pendulum summon is near impossible in today's day and age. But you know what? That's fine. That's for another day. All right, so let's dig on into this bad boy. So we have one copy of a Morphage Sloth. This has actually kind of become a staple in some decks, or at least some way to lock your opponent's extra deck. So when you control an Amorphage monster, neither player can add cards from their deck to the hand. But the thing we care about is his monster effect. Neither player can special summon from the extra deck except for a Morphage monster. So your typical play is you're going to pendulum summon this guy out after you've started making your key plays and things like that. Because once this 2250 sets itself up on the board, you're not going to be able to do much. Now, the argument for this between Goliath and whatnot is this melds better into your pendulum scales that you've already got built into the deck. Triple Chronograph Sorcerer, this is literally essentially stable. Literally being able to pop this for Time Gazer starts your whole combo. One copy of Distrito, access to whatever synchro that you actually want, or just another extender to put on your field. At the cost of half of your life is argumentative, but he does what he needs to do for both stages of the deck. Now, Endymion, the founding Sosa Supreme. So you can remove 6 counters from your field, special summon this card for Pendulum Zone, and to destroy cards on the field up to the number of cards you control that you can place spell counters on. And you can place spell counters on this card equal to the number of those counters. But his monster effect down here, once per turn when a spell or trap card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can return 1 card you control with a spell counter to the hand, and if you do, negate that activation. And if you do destroy that card, then you can place spell counters on this card equal to the number of spell counters that were on that card. Your opponent cannot target this card with a spell counter with card effects, and cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And when this card on the field is destroyed by battle, you can add 1 normal spell card from your deck to your hand. This card is actually a massive powerhouse, literally, for what we want to do. And I mean, you've already got built-in synergy with the spell counter archetype already, so you have no reason not to be exploring this as an option. Now, of course, we have 2 copies of Jackal King, also your spell counter generator. And, of course, Master Cerberus, also generating those free, quote-unquote, spell counters as well for the deck. Now, we do have triple copies of Psyframe Gamma. Like I said, this card is absolutely nuts in this deck with Lambada, as long as you can establish it. Now, we do play 1 copy of Zefra Wendy, your potential high scale for the deck. She doesn't really do much else besides that. And we have the 1 copy of the Zefra Thuban. Now, we are also playing triple copies of Servant of Endymion. So each time a spell counter or spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card. When that spell counter results, you can remove 3 spell counters from this card, special summon both this card from Pendulum Zone, and 1 monster with 1,000 or more attack that you can place a spell counter on from your deck. And if you do, place 1 spell counter on each of them. 1,000 or more attack that you can place a spell counter on. Don't mind if I do. And then his monster effect, when a spell counter Can This card with a spell counter can attack directly. Once per turn during your opponent's turn, quick effect, discard one card, place one spell counter on this card. And each card you control that you can place a spell counter on. If this card is in your monster zone is destroyed, you can place this card in your pendulum zone and then place spell counters on this card equal to the number of spell counters that were on this card. You can only special summon one Servant of Endymion once per turn. So they did make this limited, but I mean, hypothetically, when a card literally is this good for the thing, I mean, you also get access to 1,000 or more attack. Options. This card is actually really good for being an extender. Now we have 2 copies of Darkworm, 1 Gate 0. I have a feeling somebody's going to be like, why don't you play more? It's up in the air. It's debatable. Now this is some spice, and I look down here at the extra deck. I see we only play 1 Colossus. I understand that logically you might not be able to step into 2 of these, but it's kind of dependent on what you could do. If you feel that you could end on a double Colossus board, then go for it. It literally just takes 1 Cyber Dragon to start the world to get that Colossus established. So you're playing this for the pitch it, grab 2 pendulums, and make the Colossus. We are playing the 1 copy of Time Gazer Magician to fuel the chronograph. And then, of course, triple copies of Zefra. Like I said, this is one of the best cards that your deck has to offer. Now, we play 2 Zefra and 1 Zefraxi. They're about as good as they're going to be, honestly, at this stage. 1 copy of the Brick, and then 1 copy of Dragon Ravine. I think this has pretty much become a staple at this point, because this for Destrudo or the Darkworm into the Gate 0 is both equally devastating and powerful, depending on which boards you're going for. We have 2 copies of Dragon Shrine, the Foolish Barrel for our homie over here to start our combos. Then we have 1 copy of Emergency Teleport, essentially standard. Like, getting that tuner out of the deck is really good. Foolish Barrel, We have triple copies of the Oracle Zefra. So on activation, you get to search, and then when you synchro summon, you can choose a monster from your deck and place it on the top of your deck. Actually, really good if you have draw power coming up. Like, you stack the field spell with the Stardust Charge Warrior, and you draw your Gamma. Like, it's really good. Or you can stack the Thunder Dragon on the top, and then search for that. That way, if you haven't Pendulum summoned yet, you just get free value. Now, we have 1 copy of Set Rotation, 2 copies of Terraforming, triple copies of Zefra Providence, and 1 Zefra Divine Strike, and 1 Zefra War. Honestly, looking at the main deck, though, like, the Endymion cards are actually, these ones in general, particularly these 2, definitely seem like they make this deck a lot better in terms of numbers and things of what you can actually do with the deck. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but like, I could see this deck. This looks really good on paper. Now, the extra deck down here, we have 1 Zefra Metatron, very generic actually. We have 1 copy of Saruja. Draw power is actually crucial to a deck like this. Once again, you know, like, if you get that Synchro Summon established and then you can roll into the Saruja after you've stacked the deck, enjoy your free resource. 1 copy of Lombada. This card's broken in Pendulum decks. 1 copy of Electromite. 1 copy of Boral Sword Dragon. 1 copy of Absolute. 1 copy of Dahampiad. Just 2+ level 6s. I believe he felt this was probably the best level 6, or Xyz rank 6 that you could play. It's up to you, debatable if you want to change this or not. 1 Stardust Charge Wear. 1 Omega. 1 copy of Meteor Burst. 1 of Ye Old Nirvana High Paladin. 1 Metaphys Horus. 1 Dawn Dragster, 1 Thunder Dragon Colossus, and 1 copy of Adai's Vortex Dragon. I don't even know, like, looking at the extra, I don't even know what you'd cut for another copy of Colossus, even if you could fit it in here. And then the side deck, we have 1 copy of Ash Blossom. That's spicy. Triple copies of Prankatops. Yep, that's about right. 1 copy of Zefraxion. 2 copies of Vanity's Fiend. God, I really wish we could Pendulum summon this guy. Triple copies of Called by the Grave. Honestly, hand traps look like they might hurt this deck a lot. Triple copies of Evenly Matched for going second, and 2 copies of Red Rebuto for those annoying-ass trap decks. So, I do want to say, I'm very happy to actually see Zefra get the chance to come back. I'm a huge fan of the concept of this deck, and the fact that the spell counter engine fits so well in an already established pendulum engine, you know, between Jackal King and Master Cerberus. Just adding a little bit more spice into the deck definitely makes things a little bit better. So guys, please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Are you looking forward to the new Endymion's Spellcaster cards coming out later this month? I'd like to hear your guys' opinion down below. And well guys, I'm out. Peace. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a Truffle Shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.